we're ready to start with our presentation. I leave the floor to Peter, and I can see his presentation, and I remain online to receive all of your questions. Drop them into the Q&A box, and we'll do our best to answer them at the end of the presentation.
All right, thank you for the introduction. So yes, my name is Peter. I work for the Belgian University KU Leuven. And I'm going to start with giving you an introduction to what KU Leuven is, what we stand for, and what you can expect from us. So Belgium, if you haven't looked it up, no problem. It's located in the center of Europe. Brussels is the capital of the European Union, so it's everything that you can expect from a country that holds the capital of the European Union. It's very central in Europe. It's very easy to connect to the UK, to London, to France. Everything is really easy to connect by train, but also by airport. And our university is located only 20 minutes away from Brussels in the city of Leuven, which is also a direct connection with the airport, with Brussels airport. So very easy to reach as well. The city of Leuven, I've pasted some pictures of our city in the PowerPoint, is a medieval city. It has been around for centuries and centuries, and the university has been in the city center since the 15th century. The university was founded in 1425, and as the university expanded, the city expanded. So we always say that the city is our campus, as we don't have a specific campus or one place campus like you see in many American TV shows, for instance. We have faculty buildings all over town. That being said, Leuven is a rather small town. It's a university town. Within the city center, there are 35,000 people living, but we also have 42,000 student rooms. So there's actually more students than other people living in Leuven. And the other people are people like me, working for the university, working for one of our spin-offs, working for something related to university. So very university orientated. We also have a campus in Brussels. Our campus in Brussels is focusing on our international programs as well. So we offer programs related to business, to languages, architecture as well. And it's very centrally located, our campus. So all in all, a good place to study as well. It's important to note here that we don't offer all programs in both of our campuses. So that might be something that you'll have to check out. And then to continue with some numbers about university, KU Leuven, as you might or might not know, is a research university which is held high in regard in the international world of higher education. We are top 50 in the Times Higher Education ranking, top 100 in QS ranking, and we perform well in the European Commission's research schemes as well. And as mentioned in the introduction, we are the most innovative university in Europe, which basically means that our researchers are very good in having their research applied in everyday life, which for you as a student would mean that what you would learn from our professors is something that is applicable in a daily life and not just theoretical. And if you want to start a business, for instance, we also have a department that will assist you in that way. Oh, this is another slide on us being the most innovative university. We like to show this because we are very proud of it, obviously. And as you can see, we are the first non-American university in the top 10 of the most innovative universities worldwide. So that's something that we like to show in these presentations. Then some more numbers about our university. I think you've already noticed that we are a big university. We have over 60,000 students and 14,000 of them are international students. So that's about 22%. So it's very, you always hear people in the streets of Leuven talking in English. It's very easy to meet other international students. We have an international meeting center as well. So that's very, it's very open to international students, our university. And then it's worth noting that we are a comprehensive university. That means that we offer programs in all fields of study. We have over 100 programs that we offer in English. Unfortunately, we only offer 6 bachelors in English. These are European studies, theology, philosophy, 2 business programs, business administration and business engineering, and then engineering technology. And hopefully next year, but it hasn't been approved by the government yet, we'll also have a linguistics program. So that might be our 7th. And then related to our masters and advanced masters, there's it's almost 100 programs. So if you're looking for something, I always say we have it. So that's worth checking out our the overview of our programs. As mentioned, we have a lot of international students, 14,000. We pride ourselves in being an international university as well. These students come from all over the world. We have students from over 140 nationalities. We have, that's why I noted it here as well. We have almost 2,000 incoming exchange students and over 2,000 outgoing exchange students, which means that even though you might be studying in KU Leuven, you always get the opportunity to go on exchange as well, especially if you start in a bachelor's and continue to a master's, then you have a lot of opportunities to do an exchange program as well. So obviously these numbers, with these numbers, I try to illustrate that. And this is a map of the world showing where our international students are coming from, just to give you an idea. We try to be as diverse as possible because we believe that diverse classrooms offer a benefit to all of our students, both Belgian students, international students. So we try to be as diverse as possible. Our research, our education, the programs that we offer is research driven. So you as a student will already be doing research, even if you start in one of our bachelors, but also if you start obviously in one of our masters, you'll be doing research yourself. It might be a paper that you'll have to write on something topical, or your thesis, or everything related, or everything in between that. Being research driven also means that we have top researchers as your teachers, as professors. They contribute to the fact that we are a highly ranked university, and being a highly ranked university also attracts top professors. So that's something that you can definitely expect from us. We have top facilities, a lot of interdisciplinary programs. As mentioned in the introduction, we stimulate entrepreneurship, and all the other good stuff that you can expect from a top 50 university. We offer almost 100 programs on master's and advanced master's level in English, and these are taught at our 15 faculties. I already mentioned that we basically offer everything in English, every field of study, and these programs are taught in our faculties. We have a faculty of philosophy, theology, law, economics and business, social sciences, arts, psychology, and educational studies. Then in the field of science, engineering, and technology, you have the faculty of the sciences, engineering science, bioscience, engineering technology. So we have a lot of engineering programs, and architecture. And then for the biomedical sciences, we have the faculty of medicine, which unfortunately does not offer medicine in English, but does offer bioethics, biomedical sciences, deglotology, for instance, and some other programs. We have a faculty of pharmaceutical sciences and a faculty of movement and rehabilitation sciences. So I think that pretty much covers the scope of what you can learn in academia. As mentioned, we have 6 bachelors that we teach in English. These bachelors have an admission system that might be a bit more open that you're used to from a top 50 university, but that's just the Belgian view on higher education. That does not mean that it's easy in our university. That doesn't mean it's easy to get in either. So you do need the degree that will give you entrance in a research university in your own country, and you have to meet the admission requirements for language requirements, etc. But we'll touch on that later on. And if you meet these requirements, and some others possibly, usually you're admitted in one of our bachelors. But that doesn't mean that it's easy. The professor usually starts the class in their first year by saying, take a look to your left, take a look to your right. Either of you won't be sitting here by the end of the year. So it is university where you have to work for getting your degree. Obviously, it also applies to our masters, but these masters and advanced masters, yeah, well, they cover every field of study, well, you're already pushed in a certain direction by the bachelor or the undergrad program that you're currently in. And then lastly, we have summer schools and other short courses in various fields of study. So if you're interested in that, please take a look on our website. I'm sure that you'll find a summer school or a short course or a MOOC or whatever that might interest you. We also have 3 doctoral schools. These 3 doctoral schools correspond with our groups. So we have 1 doctoral school in humanities and social sciences, 1 in biomedical sciences, and then the automatic doctoral school of science, engineering, and technology, which is our doctoral school of STEM. We have different possibilities of applying for a PhD. So either you have a proposal yourself, you contact our doctoral school, and they will see if it's a valid proposal and they will assist you in finding funding for your proposal, or you apply it in one of our vacancies that you can find on our website in the PhD portal. Yeah, we have all of the, but no, how do I explain it? The vision of learning in our university is what you can expect from a top 50 university. We have the peer assistant learning, the jigsaw learning, the flipped classroom. So it is not only the classical way of teaching with a professor that comes through the classroom and teaches their lecture, but we have more interactive ways of learning as well in our university. Something that is also very important if you're a student, obviously, is our libraries. We have over 24 libraries with a huge collection, almost 4 million items in a physical collection, almost 800,000 items in our digital collection, which is growing every day. That will assist you in learning as well. We have learning centers, we have group work spaces, and all of the other things that will able to assist you in your everyday life as a student. Which brings me to the next topic, which are as our students. For the admission requirements, I thought there was going to be another slide, but that's my bad, obviously. Sorry for that. The admission requirements, already touched on that, is it's a bit difficult because these admission requirements, they vary by program. So usually, no, I'm going to start differently. Admission requirements vary by program. If you're interested in one of our programs, look for the tab admission requirements on each website from each program. But usually, what you'll need is for a bachelor's degree, as I explained, a secondary education degree, which would give you entrance in higher education in your own country, in a research university. And for the master's is the appropriate bachelor degree for a certain master's degree. So the bachelor degree that follows on a specific master, that precedes a specific master. That being said, you'll also need to prove your proficiency in English. These are the minimums mentioned on my slide are the minimums mentioned for the whole university, but some programs do have higher expectations from proficiency in English. So these might not be your final requirements. And then we might have other conditions for certain programs. So Gmat Gre is also possible. They vary by program. So again, my suggestion to you would be to check our program website to read all about the program, but definitely also see in the admission requirements if you qualify for a certain program. Then living and study expenses in Belgium, it's obviously very important too, if you want to come to European Union to come and study here. The good news is that the Belgian government is still heavily supporting our international education. And you see that in our tuition fees as well. Tuition fees are different for students from within the European Union and outside the European Union, but nevertheless, they are a bit less than our neighboring countries, such as the Netherlands or the UK. Usually studying there will be more expensive. And the tuition fees, they vary by program as well. So my suggestion here is to check the website and check the tuition fees that apply to your program, but they always range in between 980 euros and 6,600 euros per academic year. The living costs in Belgium are, I'd say, average for a European country. So for accommodation in Leuven, so for a student room, that is, you pay in between 350 euros a month to 500 euros a month. Study material is more or less the same. And then because you're studying in a student city or university city, you'll find student facilities everywhere, such as bus tickets for a reasonable price, student restaurants with reasonable prices, student bars as well. So there's a lot of facilities for you there too. And then we usually get a lot of questions for accommodations. Up until a few years ago, I was able to tell that there's no shortage of housing in Leuven, but unfortunately, the university grew, and we're seeing that we start to notice a shortage in the housing if you start looking for housing late. So we always recommend to our international students, as soon as you're accepted in university, you receive an offer. That means that you receive an offer from the university, is that you already start looking for housing. Obviously, if you're not going to accept our offer, don't start looking for housing. But if you have every intent of coming to Leuven, start looking for housing. Our housing market usually opens in March, and then you have a lot of time to look for housing. It isn't until June or July that the best rooms start to get, most of the rooms start to get, the shortage of rooms starts to appear. So we always recommend to start finding housing as soon as possible, but definitely before June or July. And if you start looking early, then you shouldn't encounter a lot of difficulties in finding housing. I haven't addressed the information on my slide here. Most of the rooms in Leuven are privately owned student housing, which means that you'll have a landlord and that you rent a room in the house, and you'll share the house with 3 to 10 students. There's a big variety with very variable rates, shared common areas such as bathrooms and kitchens and stuff like that. And it's about 80% of the housing available in Leuven. The good news is that we have a database online on our housing website. So look for kuleuven.be/housing, where you can browse some rooms, click on the photos and connect to a landlord. We have checked all of the rooms, so they are definitely okay with quality, with safety, with all of the facilities that you need and all the other good stuff. So that's about 80% of the rooms in Belgium or in Leuven. And then we have university dorms as well. They are usually really large, often offering housing to more than 100 students. All of the rooms have look the same. They have fixed rates, shared common areas as well. And obviously they are also available through our housing website. So that's something that we usually get a lot of questions about. So I hope that I've been able to answer some of those questions. And then related, I think this might be one of my last slides already, related to student facilities. We have basically every student facility that you can expect from a top European universities. Every kind of student service, sports center, culture office, student services, career center for when you're about to graduate. KU Leuven KIK is our center for entrepreneurs. If you want to start your own business or your thesis evolves into something really practical and you want it valorized or create a patent, our KU Leuven KIK colleagues will help you. We have study advice center, obviously the libraries and learning centers, which I've mentioned. And then we also do a lot to support the student life in our cities and our campuses. We have an international meeting center called Pangaya that will help you in basically making friends in the first year, but that will also be the first days, but that will also be your meeting center for meeting other international students all year round. So they, for instance, they organize our orientation days. They organize our buddy system. So if you want to, you can apply for a buddy, which is a Belgian student that will show you the way around in Leuven, and some the ins and the outs of living in a Belgian city. Then the vakbars are the student bars that we obviously have. We have a vibrant student life at night as well. We have orientation days that I mentioned, which are Pangaya International Meeting Center organizes, and we have a welcome desk on the airport as well. If you start in the academic year in September, and then the buddy program that I've mentioned. Oh, and then my last slide is indeed referring to our online open day. If you're still interested in joining our university, we organize an online open day on 1 December where you can talk to program staffs or professors, but also our students, where you can learn about housing, talk to admissions and much more. So if you're interested, feel free to register. All right, that's about it for my presentation for now.
Thank you. Perfect. Thank you so much, Peter, for the presentation. And I have to say that while you were presenting, we received a lot of questions. So we'll do our best to go through questions we receive. I can see more students joined us, so feel free to drop them into the Q&A box, and we do our best to go through them. So some of them, as you anticipated, you actually mentioned them during the presentation. Maybe it's just worth to talk about some of the details. So you mentioned about bachelor, master's, a few PhD programs. Someone is asking us if there is also the opportunity to do an exchange program, maybe to spend a semester at KU Leuven or some other form of exchange.
Yeah, if you're currently already studying at university, then you'll have to talk to your usually your faculty or the international office and see if there's an exchange agreement with our university. For instance, for Erasmus, for within Europe, or if you're talking for global exchange, we do have a lot of global exchange programs as well, but the requirement there is that your current university has an exchange agreement with our university. Now, if you would be studying at KU Leuven already and you want to study abroad, we have a lot of studying abroad possibilities on the short term with the summer school, or for a semester or for a full year. But that depends on the program that you're taking. If you're starting on a bachelor's level, you'll see that you'll have a lot of possibilities for going abroad on exchange. If you only come to KU Leuven for a master's, then the time that you're studying in Leuven is already a bit smaller. So you might not have the opportunity to go abroad in every program. But because we pride ourselves in being an international university, we try to offer exchange possibilities in as many programs as possible.
Thank you. Question. Melva is asking us if it's possible to work while studying. Of course, this might involve visa, some visa requirements, but in general, is it something that you would recommend or advise to students to work while studying?
Yeah, it is possible to work with a student visa. If I remember correctly, you are allowed to work with a maximum of 20 hours a week, which is already a lot if you're a student, a full-time student. So it's not something that I would recommend to work for the full 20 hours. But we also have a student career center that will assist you in finding a job in Belgium. So yes, there are some possibilities of finding a job. I am just quickly checking for the 20 hours a week that I've mentioned, if that is the definitive number to be able to give you all the information that you need. Yes, a maximum of 20 hours a week. So yeah.
Perfect. Questions about, so one thing that we did mention, but maybe it's worth to say one more time, are all the courses taught in English, and is it necessary to learn a different language?
All of the well, not all of our courses are taught in English, but we do have over 100 courses that we teach in English. So 6 bachelors, and then about I think it was 96 or 97 masters and advanced masters. So we do offer you a lot of possibilities to study in English, and there is not really a need to learn Dutch. As mentioned, we have 14,000 international students in our university. The city of Leuven is very focused towards international education as well, or towards education, and by default also to international education. So basically everyone in Belgium, or at least in the cities where we have a campus, speaks some level of English. So there's no need to learn English, Dutch to get by in daily life either. And I don't think a lot of our international students do learn Dutch. Maybe some might, or a few words, but the majority gets by perfectly just using English.
Thank you. Ielts, so you mentioned there are some specific requirements. So if someone first level of education wasn't in English, or they're not coming from an English-speaking country, do they need to take a English proficiency test? Is it part of the admission process?
Yes, the English admissions English proficiency test, it's a hard word, is required for admissions at the university, and you do need it to get accepted. So let's say, for instance, that our application deadline is coming in short, and you haven't been able to take the test yet, then you can already apply at the university and prove that you have registered for an Ielts or a TOEFL or a Cambridge language test. And then university will process your application, assuming that you'll pass the test. But then you'll have to let us know as soon as possible what your grades are, and if you've passed, and then if you have met these the minimum language requirements, you will be able to start at the university. But we do have these minimum language requirements, and unfortunately they're non-negotiable.
And it's also for you guys, I mean, it's important that you can fully understand the classes and what's going on around you.
Yes, I haven't been able to mention that, but it is indeed, we've noticed that it's important to have these minimum requirements, because we do teach in academics in a highly ranked university, that and that means that you also need to understand and to process and to write papers on the same level of our university.
Perfect. Luca is asking us if internship is part of the program for bachelor, and if you can name some of, let's say, companies or entities that you collaborate with.
That's very hard, because we have over, if you count the Dutch programs, over 200 programs. So I can't name everything. But I'll start with the basics. The first part of the answer is that we are an academic research university. So an internship is not part of every curriculum. That being said, we do have some programs where you can take an internship, but usually there it's not mandatory. It's an elective program. So speaking from my own case, I took an internship, but it was not part of my curriculum, so it was not for credits. But then if you take it through the university, you can count on insurance, and they will help assist you in finding an internship place and all the other good stuff. So if you want to do an internship, and for most programs within the humanities, you do get some possibilities to do so, and obviously for the other programs as well. So for some programs we do offer the possibilities, but not for every program. That being said, the companies that you'll be able to work with are all located within Belgium, obviously, due to distances. But if you, for instance, study at the Faculty of Economics and Business, obviously our Faculty of Economics and Business has the ties with the international business life that's already in Brussels, headquarters of the European Union. So obviously we have had a lot of headquarters of multinationals there as well. They know the university because it's very well known in Belgium, and they are more than happy to receive our interns. So yeah, there's basically the possibilities to do an internship in the kind of company that you want to. You can do it in a startup, in a small company, or if you want to work in international business, for instance, in one of these multinationals.
Perfect. They asking us, so you mentioned before that there is a lot of attention, of course, to welcome international students. In terms of scholarships or sponsorship, is there a website that they can refer to? Of course, it might vary if you are a student within the European Union or outside, but if you can give us some guidance on this.
Yeah, the thing is that because our tuition fees are a bit lower than in other European countries, because because of the generous financing system of our government, you could say that everyone gets a scholarship. But I know that if you're from a non-European country, that's not really an answer to your question. So that's only part of my answer. But we also do have limited number of scholarships available. It's limited. It's for the top students, basically. But for more information, I'll have to refer to the website, as you mentioned, which is www.kuleuven.be/scholarships. And then you can browse the scholarships that we have on offer and see which one applies to you. Or the other possibility is that you search through our program offer and contact program staff and ask if there are any scholarships available for that specific program.
Perfect. Let me just copying the website that you were referring to.
Oh yeah.
Should be, I guess, is this correct one? This one.
I'll copy it. Sorry.
Okay, perfect.
It's this one.
So you can then refer to this one. Amazing. And okay, so more question. So what they asking is, Malva is asking generally, if you can give general advice of how to approach the whole process of admission. So for example, how early should a student start? What are the steps? And maybe if you have any sort of advice for students.
Yeah. My first advice would be to apply as soon as possible. Because our admissions works on a rolling basis. The sooner you apply, the sooner you receive an answer, and the sooner you can start taking care of visa, looking for housing, registering for the buddy system, and all the other good stuffs. The second part of the answer is to carefully read the admission requirements of the program, because each of them are different, and some might require you to have a GRE or to write a motivation letter, or to have a reference from a professor in your university. So that's also something that you might need to anticipate on. So if you're interested in KU Leuven, browse through admission requirements and see if you can already initiate some of the requirements. I think those will be the most important things. Oh yeah, and the last one is obviously to mind our admission admission deadlines. Our admissions tries to work on a rolling basis, but the later you apply, the less time there is to process your visa and all of the other red tape related to relocating to Belgium. So the suggested admissions deadline always is 1 March. And if you apply on the 2nd or the 3rd of March, there's not an issue, and we will still process your application. But if you wait too long, the time that you have available for visa and all the other paperwork becomes a bit short. So that's why I also suggest to apply as soon as possible.
Makes sense. And you mentioned in your presentation, very important, accommodation. So, the early you apply, the early you have your answer. Couple of questions. How long does it take when you submit an application to hear back from the team, and they're asking us if there is a fee to pay?
That's a good follow-up question. Yes, we have an application fee, and it's 90 euros. And then related to the time it takes us to process the application, that highly depends on how many applications are coming in. So the closer you get to the admission deadline, the more applications that we receive at the same time, and the longer it takes us to process these applications. But usually we say that the minimum time that we'll need is 2 to 4 weeks, and the maximum is 10 weeks to process an application. But usually it will not take 10 weeks, obviously. But again, the sooner you apply, the sooner you'll get an answer, also because it will take us less time to process everything. And to give you a bit of an idea, so you apply in our admissions office, the application procedure is fully online. So no, you obviously have to make a scan of your degree, but you don't need to print in something of the university. So it's fully online. You send the application to the admissions office, and you get assigned an admissions officer, and he or she will process the application and will give an advice to the program director. And it is the program director's task to make the final decision whether a student is admitted or not. So we have a bit of a long process there as well, to make sure that we get all the quality students in our university.
Perfect, thank you. Lots of questions. I'm just going to scroll them. So lots of you guys are asking about specific programs. So for example, do you offer anthropology? Do you offer engineering? So one thing that, and then Peter, correct me if I'm wrong, the website would be your best friend in this case, because there are so many programs. There are lots of faculty. So as you could see when you register for the event, they basically have all the faculties and all the programs that you can imagine, but is there a way to navigate the website probably to find the right?
Yes, our current program guide is a bit outdated. We have a new website launching in 2 weeks, we hope. So that will make browsing our program offer a lot easier. So there's, the non-official way of browsing our offer, which would be typing KU Leuven and then the field of study that you're interested in. So for instance, KU Leuven anthropology on Google, and then you'll see that we offer 2 anthropology programs. So I'd suggest to compare them and to pick the one that fits you best, or to go to www.kuleuven.be, and I'll paste the link here as well, dash international programs. And then that will take you to our current program guide. The programs are mentioned by faculty. So for instance, for the engineering question that you received, we have 3 faculties that teach engineering programs. And then the student has to, first of all, see which faculty applies best to him or her, and then scroll through the offer that we have. But there's a new program guide launching in about 2 weeks.
Amazing. And someone was asking about medicine. I can see from the link that you just copied the reason faculties of medicine.
Yes, but it's very important to mention that we don't offer a medicine program in English. It's only offered in Dutch. But we do offer, for instance, biomedical sciences, bioethics, global health, glottology. So, but we do receive a lot of questions to become a physician. So for bachelor in medicine, but unfortunately that's only taught in Dutch.
Good, so you have some option, not let's say the classic bachelor course in medicine. Another thing Ismail is asking us about GRE. You mentioned before this for some programs might be required, not for all of them, right?
Yes, so Gmat Gre are usually required for some of the engineering programs, the economical or business programs. It's highly dependent on the program that you're interested in.
Now we have a nice question. They're asking us about acceptance rate. So how hard, I mean, you mentioned about top universities in Europe. We were also talking about how innovative is always been ranked very highly on this. How hard is to get into KU Leuven?
I think it might be a bit easier to get into our university than in another European university, because in Belgium there is something called the openness of the educational system. So if you meet our admission requirements, you're usually accepted. So we don't have, for instance, like Dutch universities have, that we only accept the 20 best applications. If an application is good, if it meets our admission requirements, usually the student will be accepted.
Perfect. Asking about minor in a different subject. So, for example, how does the course work? Is there like option to take elective courses or opportunity to create their own path within the program?
Yes, there's a lot of possibilities in that way, especially if let's say you start on a bachelor's level. Each of our bachelors starts with a broad basis of the respective fields of study, and then in the second year, a student can pick an elective, and in the third year, that will lead them to a certain major or minor, and that might lead them to a really specific master in the end. So after 4 or 5 years of studying, our graduates are experts in a really specific domain, but with a broad basis to rely on when they start working. Because on a master's level, if you're coming to KU Leuven for a master's, you're taking a really specific program to become a master in a specific field of study. It's a bit harder to take electives from other programs unless you're taking, for instance, an interdisciplinary program. So again, it's dependent on the program that you're interested in. But if you're applying for a bachelor's, you'll see that we offer a wide range of possibilities for elective courses, majors, minors, etc.
Makes sense. Beginning of the presentation, we were actually asking our students connected where they were connecting from, and we actually touched like different countries in the world. You mentioned about an open day. Is there any opportunity for future students to get to know, let's say, an alumni or current student, to chat with them or similar?
Yes. Thank you for noticing. We have a student ambassador program as well. So if you type in student ambassadors KU Leuven on Google, you'll definitely reach our student ambassadors. I'll paste the link here as well. And we have an open day on the 1st of December, where you can talk to our professors, to our student ambassadors, to our admissions office. So we highly suggest that you take a look to our online open day, or that you visit an online open day if you consider applying at KU Leuven. I'll paste the link here too. Voila.
Beautiful. This is something that I think is always worth it. Like, speaking to someone who's been in your shoes a few years ago, so it can actually give you their perspective as well. So if you can attend the open day, it's amazing, but also check the student ambassador link. Okay, so another question. Someone says, I'm looking for new opportunities. Do you think is a good idea to get a new bachelor in a new area? So for example, someone who's 28, so let's say a little bit older for the standard age of a master or of a bachelor course. Is it something that you would recommend, maybe someone to gain an international exposure? Do you have any sort of age limit or maybe advice?
We don't have an age limit, so that's the good news. And I remember when I started uni, there were some people who were noticeably older than me in our classroom as well. And you always have them a few each year, students that are a bit older. That being said, I don't think 28 for an international student is very old, because we do see that usually our international students are a bit older than the classic 18-year-old Belgian student starting at university. And then the second part of your question is it something that I would recommend? But that's a very personal question. I don't know your personal situation. But yeah, it never hurts to learn, I'd say. An international experience always opens a lot of doors, and maybe Belgium offers answers to questions you might have, or answers to reasons you're thinking of studying on a bachelor's again.
Thank you. Going back to the English proficiency certification, is Cambridge accepted? In terms
Cambridge is accepted for not for all programs, but for most of our programs.
Perfect. So we did talk a little bit about studying in Belgium, and you told us a little bit more about the city. So what do international students can expect? Is there like a a big international community for students? What's the perception that you have, like, working the university?
Good question. Thank you, by the way. I always like to talk about this because when you walk around in Leuven, sometimes you get the idea that you're in an international city. You can just walk around and hear people talking English to your left and to your right, or in Spanish or in Italian or in God knows which language that I don't understand, because they found each other and because there's a big international students community in Leuven. We have over 14,000 international students at our university, and obviously you see them in the everyday life as well. Leuven is also a rather small city, so it's hard to escape students and international students when you walk around. That being said, feel free to Google the city. You'll see that most of our city is if not car free, it's not very open to cars, so students use their bikes or to go everywhere, and it's very safe to walk around in the streets as well. Very vivid nightlife. So yeah, it's a student city.
And then one thing also for students that, so let's say, are coming from outside European Union, we are in the center of Europe, so it's also like easy then to move if you want to visit some other places, while studying, because it's usually a great opportunity for students that are coming for abroad, like international, like outside the European Union, also to take the opportunity.
Definitely. It's an easy connection even by train to Paris, London, Amsterdam, Berlin, or if you take a plane to Italy or Spain, or yeah, very centrally located.
Oh, this is a nice question, not easy to answer. So they're asking us, why should I choose KU Leuven for my education? So I would just maybe translate into what makes it unique and why would you recommend?
Yeah, obviously, why would I choose it? It's I don't know your personal situation, as you mentioned. So what I think we have going for us is that if you graduate at KU Leuven, you'll have a degree from a top university that might give you an advantage when applying for jobs. For instance, if even if your future employer does not know KU Leuven, if he Googles it, you'll see that we're top 50 worldwide, so that you have a quality degree, and that means that does mean something. And then secondly, the quality of life in Belgium and Leuven, as mentioned extensively in our conversation, it is a city and a country very focused on international education. It's very good to live here. It's very easy to make friends with all of our international students. And then one other thing that we'll have going for us is that we offer programs in every field of study. So no matter what you're interested in, we'll always have a program that fits your interests. So I guess those three things are my final answer.
There is a question which is a bit maybe more technical, but just if we have some guidance here. Is a bank statement requirement? I think is something related to visa. Is there something that you can tell us more about?
I think they are referring to the proving of the solvency of a student, because if you apply for a visa, you have to prove that you'll be able to cover the cost of living in Belgium. What we usually recommend is something that we call a blocked account, is that you'll transfer a certain amount of money to the university that we will keep in your name. So it's not our money, it's your money, but we'll just take it on the side for you. And that's money that you can use for living when you study at KU Leuven. That's just one way of proving solvency. I think our website mentions 3 that I don't know by heart. Give me a minute to Google it.
Perfect.
Okay, it's on the website of our. Okay, so there are 3 acceptable types of proof of solvency. One is a scholarship. A second is a proof of your financial means, and a third is a form called Commitment That Charge Will Be Taken. I'm just going to paste the website because it's a long and technical answer, and I don't want to make any mistakes. So you'll be able to find the answer on our website. And if you have any questions, the contact of our immigration office is mentioned below on the website.
Perfect. Okay, so we talked about IELTS, GRE, and so on. What about GPA? So there, is it something that is relevant when you look at an application from a student?
For students, you do need to provide the overview of the courses that you had and the grades that you received when applying to university. But by law, for our bachelor's and initial masters, we are not allowed to take them into account if you're from within the European Union when making a decision on whether you're admitted or not. For certain programs, if you come from outside the European Economical Area, it might be important that your GPA is high enough, but because it's not part of the DNA of the university, it's only a very limited amount of programs that GPA is important for.
And what about work experience? Maybe for like the master's program, no needed. Also for the master program, so it's like a fresh graduate comes straight from the bachelor degree they put.
Yes, exactly.
Perfect. And you mentioned that each program will have a different, let's say, admission process. Some of them might require you to have like a letter of recommendation from someone. My question would be, is there an interview that they need to pass, or?
No, we don't do interviews.
Okay, so it's just like the resume, their transcript, and probably like letter, motivational letter and similar.
Yes, I think that the most important is obviously the degree with the courses that you've studied, the English proficiency test, and then depending on the program that you might take, we might have additional requirements for Gmat or GRE or a motivational letter or something like that. But the first 2 or 3 that I mentioned are applied to all of our programs.
Perfect. So we're coming towards the end of our presentation, and I'd like to thank all of you for being connected, because all of your questions were very much interesting, and also you, Peter, for the presentation. I wanted to ask if there was anything else that you wanted to highlight. So we mentioned December 1st for the open day. We mentioned the student ambassadors. We're also going to follow up with an email after this webinar, so you will have also reference of the link that we put into the chat. I wanted to ask if there was anything else that you wanted to highlight for the students.
No closing remarks from my side.
Then I really like to thank you, and thank you all for being connected. Maybe you might have some further questions that will arise between today and the following days. We will be sharing an email with you, and also we'll be sharing some contact details that you can refer in case you have any further questions. Our website, as you can see, you'll be able to find lots of useful information on the website. So Google, have a look at that, and feel free to reach out in case you have any further questions. So thank you so much, Peter, for your time, all of you for being connected, and we look forward to seeing you soon at the next live webinar. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.